Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Paul. Hopefully you're having an amazing day. I want to kick this video off discussing AMD's FidelityFX Super Resolution. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? In fact, I'm going to refer to it as either FidelityFX or Super Res for the rest of this video so I don't become insane by the end of it. This tech, of course, is AMD's alternative to DLSS, and one of my sources actually reached out to me with yet further information. You may recall that I've recently stated that it's currently in alpha in the hands of developers, and that it actually needs to be implemented into a game engine. To clarify, this is not a toggle that you can simply enable in, let's say, the control panel. Instead, a developer needs to actually code this into the game engine. Well, one of my sources has since reached out to me to give me even more information, and I'm going to split this into two areas. So the first is that this allegedly works with both RDNA 1 and RDNA 2. There's a lot to unpack with that, so put that, with a pin in it, and we'll get to it in just a moment. The second thing is that it's actually highly performant. How performant? Well, as always with these things, it will depend upon a number of things, but I was told it could be up to 2 times a performance increase. And that's actually a pretty big deal. In fact, that would make it extremely competitive to Nvidia's DLSS technology. As a quick refresher with DLSS, for those who don't know, and I've covered this more extensively in Native Resolution is Dead, so I'll try to remember to link that in the video description. I don't always do that, but you can search for Red Gaming Tech Native Resolution, it will pop up. Anyway, so DLSS basically works with training and inference. So it uses high resolution images or gameplay as the training data, and then it will send, or rather reference data, and then it will attempt to upsample the lower resolution image to the high resolution quality. And obviously at the start it's not particularly great at that, and it gets better and better and better. Nvidia have made several substantial changes to DLSS over the past couple of years. One of them is that it's using a more generic code base. I'm actually organising an interview with Nvidia which should be on the channel the next week or two, along with the mesh shader video. I've actually got everything sorted out for that. I just need final approval to kind of put the video together because it's several statements regarding mesh shaders. Anyway, too long, didn't read. This tech, of course, has been very, very, very good for Nvidia, and I think with even high-performance GPUs such as the RTX 3080, if you're using extensive ray tracing in an image, really it does need DLSS if you want it to be highly performant and have higher frame rates. But getting back to AMD's tech then, I recently covered the fact that it seems to be a combination of AMD's older resolution technology, although the exact nature of it wasn't exactly told to me, just that it's older tech with a small amount of machine learning to improve the quality. So further to this, I have to say that if it does work with RDNA 1, this brings with tons of questions, honestly. So perhaps it could work with RDNA 1, but it isn't as good. So how I believed it worked based on a previous source is that it used lower precision operations on the GPU. If you look at a white paper from AMD which was released in November, as you can see from the white paper, RDNA 2 has both 4 and 8-bit operations, which again Microsoft have confirmed is on their Xbox Series X GPU. This was first of all confirmed in a Eurogamer interview, and second of all it was confirmed at Microsoft's Hot Chips conference, where they mentioned that they have ML instructions on their GPU, which is again the 4 and 8-bit operations. So we know there's parity there between the RDNA 2 instruction set and what Microsoft have included on their GPU, which brings us to the logical question, what's going on? Well, there are several possibilities. Chiefly, my information with it working on RDNA 1 could be incorrect. However, this source is pretty good, so it would be interesting if it isn't correct. Another possibility is that it does work on RDNA 1, however, the tech is not as good. It uses maybe a different code path, different operations or something like that, so maybe the performance isn't as good. As always, I'll keep you guys up to date as I find out more, but I do think that this tech is going to be very interesting. There's also a ton of confusion too with this tech and DirectML, which of course is Microsoft. And first of all, I'd like to say that I am putting out a video which is going to rather extensively go into the console upsampling stuff and also PC, as again, there is a ton of confusion. I don't know how many times a day, in fact, I'm getting tagged or DM'd on Twitter, which is fine. I do love you guys reaching out to me, but I think it would be much better and more convenient for me just to make a video and cover the topic. So I would like to cover just a couple of things. First of all, DirectML is, well, machine learning. And to say that it's for upsampling is like saying Direct 3D is for like drawing a pixel. Yes, it can do that, but it's not only for that. So DirectML, you can Google this yourself, can also be used, for example, for AI. So there's a ton of stuff that DirectML from Microsoft can do, but one of those things is upsampling. And of course, Microsoft can utilize the GPU architecture on the Xbox any way they want, and more specifically, so can game developers. As well, you need to remember that it is down to games developers on what tech they want to implement. If you, cast your mind back several minutes, you'll remember that I said with FidelityFX, or their Super Resolution technology to be more accurate, it needs to be implemented into the game engine, and I'm pretty confident that that would also be the same for the Xbox. Obviously, I could be wrong on that, but I don't think it's just going to be like a free button, get performance here and they click it. It's, still work for them. And the industry's had a ton of interesting developments when it comes to upsampling tech. One of the more interesting ones, at least for me, is really, was the fact that Unreal Engine, the later versions anyway, do support DLSS. It's basically a plugin. And I find the timing of this particularly of interest because we've been hearing so many rumors about the Switch Pro. Obviously, when it comes to Unreal Engine, it's synonymous with, well, upsampling tech, right? So again, I find all of this is very interesting in terms of timing. And to my, when I first was leaking the details of the Switch Pro last year, I was told that it does actually utilize a more advanced version of Nvidia's SoC, and I don't think it's got ray tracing, but it certainly could have tensor. And I don't think, given Nintendo's past history with consoles, I don't think they would do a ton of work with this. What I'm trying to say is that upsampling is so integral now to graphics, and so I do think that AMD having a performance solution for desktop is going to be incredibly important, and obviously this also benefits consoles as well. Anyway, there is also one other topic that I would like to cover in this video, and I'm going to stress for you to take this with a massive pinch of salt. But I was told something else by one of my sources with AMD, and I find it very interesting in terms of timing given some of the developments we're seeing with TSMC and their fabs. Again, I want to stress that this is more of a theory, and so I would not take this as a confirmation, but I was told that it seems that Sony have booked time with TSMC from 2023 for their 5nm fab. And if you look at the performance jump from the 7nm node to the 5nm node, it's not vast. It's not like we saw with, let's say, 14nm to 7nm. So yes, it's better, but it's certainly not enough, at least in my personal opinion, to shift to, let's say, a PlayStation 5 Pro, because for them to do that, they would need to radically increase the amount of GPU performance. And I mean, they could technically do it if they wanted to go with a larger die. The Xbox die, for example, is larger than Sony's, so maybe Sony could do it in that respect. I was also told that Sony had booked time with AMD's custom solution team, and obviously that team, as the name would imply, are who help customize silicon down to a client's needs. So obviously they would have worked with Microsoft for the Xbox consoles, Sony for their PlayStation, and so on and so on. And obviously this is going to be integral if they are going to be changing the SoC for a different variant of the PlayStation. Now, personally, I think it's going to be the PlayStation 5 Slim. Again, this is not confirmation, but I am fairly confident that all of the stars align, particularly as you can see on screen right now. There are a lot of movements at the moment when it comes to 5nm. Currently for this year, that's 2021 if you're watching this in the far-flung future. And if you are, was I right? Yeah, so basically Apple are currently gobbling up a ton of TSMC's 5nm capacity, and they will do so for the next year at least. And you know, depending on who you're asking, it's either 50% to 80%, which is a lot of capacity, particularly given there are not as many 5nm fabs as there are 7nm fabs. So obviously 2021 is out. It's not happening with a slim console on a 5nm design. And I think it would be more likely, just in terms of logic, for it to be 2023, as you can see from this graph, the production capacity by 2023 is going to be significantly higher. It's going to be more like what we have in 2021. In fact, I believe it's actually a little bit higher, but I'm saying that from memory, so you know I could be wrong on that. It's a little bit, it's at least the same amount of capacity as what we currently have with 7nm. And so I do believe that there's a pretty good chance for this. It's going to be very interesting if Sony do this. I think that a slimmer design for the PlayStation 5 obviously makes a ton of sense. It would reduce, well, power requirements, for example, and this would help them drastically cut down the cost of the console. And yeah, so I'm throwing this into the video just because I find it particularly interesting, and given that I was talking about AMD and the consoles anyway, I figured that might as well discuss it. With that said, thank you very much for checking out the video. If you have enjoyed it, then of course you know what to do. Leave a comment down below on if you are super excited about the FidelityFX Super Resolution tech. I actually put out a poll recently, and many of you are basically stating that it's an incredibly important feature for the GPU. It's over 80% of you actually were either thinking it was a paramount importance or pretty damn important for a GPU feature. So many of you do seem to be interested in just waiting and holding out for the announcement, I guess, before you make a decision on a card. So do let me know if that's the case. And with that said, thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Make sure to subscribe. Push, push, nudge, nudge. And I'll see you soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.